a receipt on your counter, your phone bill in your email, a cart with 3 extra things you did not plan to buy, a car key beside a repair notice, a delivery bag by the door, a subscription email you almost deleted, a bank fee notice for $7 that feels too small to fight and too annoying to ignore. That is how money leaks usually look. Not dramatic, not one huge mistake, just small charges that keep coming back after your paycheck lands. This video is about 7 of them: subscriptions, convenience fees, grocery extras, car costs, cheap replacements, exhaustion spending, and fees from late payments, minimum balances, or friction. The point is not to shame normal life. It is to separate money you still choose from old decisions that keep billing you. A leak is not any small purchase. A leak is money that keeps leaving after the original reason is gone, hidden, weak, or no longer worth it. That difference matters. A delivery order during a hard week may be a sane trade. A streaming service your household actually uses may be fine. A car repair that keeps you employed is not waste. The problem starts when the cost keeps repeating, without a fresh yes from you. So the test in each section is simple. Would you choose it again today, at today's price, with today's life? If yes, it may just be a bill you accept. If no, it is probably a leak. We are going to walk through the 7 places where that quiet leak hides, not with a perfect budget fantasy, with receipts, renewal emails, cards, keys, bags, and fee notices. The ordinary stuff that makes your month feel smaller than your paycheck said it should be. The first leak is easy to miss because it starts as a real decision. You signed up for something, a problem. Maybe it entertained the house. Maybe it helped during a busy stretch. Maybe it was a free trial that made sense at the time. Then the reason ended and the charge stayed employed. That is what makes subscriptions different from a normal purchase. A normal purchase asks at the register. A subscription asks once, then keeps using that answer every month. This is not an argument against subscriptions. Some are excellent. A service you use every week that replaces a larger cost or clearly improves your life is not automatically a leak. It is billed with a reason. The leak is the old yes, the streaming plan nobody opens, the cloud storage tier bought for one project, the app that was urgent during tax season. The gym add-on you forgot was separate from the membership. The shopping membership that made one holiday order cheaper, then kept billing after the holiday was gone. The receipt tells the story before the research does. Deloitte's 2025 Digital Media Trends Report said streaming subscribers spent an average of $69 a month across 4 paid video services. That number is not your household. It is a scale check. When several small renewals sit together, the monthly crowd can become bigger than any single charge feels. The Federal Trade Commission has also treated recurring cancellation friction as a consumer issue. In plain English, some services are easier to start than to stop. That does not mean every cancellation is difficult. It means the pattern is common enough to matter, easy to start, annoying to stop, quiet enough to ignore. Here is the useful audit. Do not start by asking, "What should I cancel?" That turns the task into punishment. Start with the renewal email. For every recurring charge, ask, "What job does this do now?" Not when I signed up, not when I was stressed, now. If it saves time, reduces a bigger bill, supports work, or gives your household repeated value, keep it and name it honestly. If it no longer has a job, downgrade it, cancel it, or put its renewal date on a calendar, so it has to earn another yes. The viewer test is this. If this subscription appeared in your cart today at the same monthly price, would you sign up again before dinner? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The second leak is convenience that changes price after your brain already said yes. You see a meal for $12, or a household item for $18, or a cart total that looks manageable. Then checkout adds the real shape: delivery fee, service fee, small order fee, convenience fee, processing fee, taxes, tip, price differences, membership savings that only matter if you ignore the membership cost. The first price gets the yes. The final price gets the money. That gap is the leak. Again, convenience is not the enemy. Delivery can be necessary during illness, disability, childcare pressure, late work, no transportation, bad weather, or a week where the alternative is worse. Paying for time can be a rational choice. The problem is when the convenience price stays hidden until the last screen, and by then you are tired enough to accept it. Consumer Reports has looked at delivery receipts and fee transparency. The useful lesson is not a magic percentage. It is the receipt itself. Different apps and orders can stack fees in different ways, and some line items are easier to understand than others. That is why a universal rule like delivery always costs. This much more is weak. The stronger rule is the checkout total is the truth, not the menu price. This leak also appears outside food. Event tickets, online orders, hotel bookings, payment processing, same-day service, fast shipping. A cart can look affordable until the last page turns one decision into 5 charges, so do not moralize it. Make it visible. Before you tap pay, compare the final total to the first price that caught your attention. If the food was $12 and the final receipt is $27, the decision is not $12 food. It is a $27 fatigue solution. Sometimes that is still worth it. Say it plainly and move on. But if the same kind of checkout creep shows up every week, it deserves a lane in the budget, not a shrug. The viewer test is this. If the final total had been the first number you saw, would you still have opened the cart? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The third leak is not groceries. You need groceries. The leak is the gap between food bought and food eaten. That gap hides in small extras, the sale item you bought, because the sign made it feel responsible. The snack added near checkout, the second bag of greens, because this will be the week you become a different dinner person. The bulk pack that lowers the unit price, but raises the chance of throwing half of it away. The ingredient for one recipe that never happens. Grocery prices are painful enough that nobody needs a lecture. The useful question is not, why did you buy food? The useful question is, which food keeps turning into a receipt and then into trash? The US Department of Agriculture estimates that 30 to 40% of the US food supply is wasted. That is a broad national estimate, not a personal accusation. A 2025 Scientific Reports field experiment also found that in-store food promotions increased sales and household food waste in the studied setting. Again, that does not mean every sale is bad. It means the mechanism is real. A discount can move faster than the weak, can actually use the food. The grocery leak often begins with optimism. You shop as if every evening will be calm, as if the fridge will be searchable, as if the person standing in the store is the same person who will cook after work, after traffic, after childcare, after stress. Then Thursday arrives, and the food at home feels harder than the delivery app. The fix is not a perfect meal plan. It is a smaller, more honest cart, one visible eat first shelf. Fewer fantasy ingredients, a limit on extras that expire quickly, a note on what got thrown away last week. Buying the convenience form of an ingredient, if it is the difference between eating it and wasting it, that last point matters. Pre-cut vegetables can be more expensive per ounce and still cheaper than whole vegetables you throw away untouched. The cheapest food is not cheap if it dies in the fridge. Before checkout, look at the cart and separate planned food from hopeful food. Planned food has a meal, a day, or a person attached. Hopeful food has a better version of you attached. The viewer test is this. Can you name when this item will be eaten before it spoils? And would you buy it again today if you had to throw away last week's duplicate first? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The fourth leak is the car cost that is not called a car payment. For many people, the car is not optional. It is how work happens. It is how groceries get home. It is how kids, appointments, and family obligations move. So this is not the lazy advice that says just do not own a car. The leak is narrower, treating the payment as the car cost. The payment is only one line. Around it sit insurance, fuel, registration, repairs, tires. Parking, tolls, interest, depreciation, and the maintenance skipped because this month was already tight. Triple Ace 2025 Your Driving Costs Analysis estimated the average annual cost to own and operate a new vehicle at $11,577 or $964.78 a month. Experian reported that in the fourth quarter of 2025, average financed payments were $767 for new vehicles and $537 for used vehicles. Those numbers are not a script for your driveway. They are a warning about scale. In a high-cost category, small leaks are not always small. A tire warning ignored too long can become a larger safety and replacement problem. Insurance that renews without comparison can drift. A payment stretched to fit the monthly budget can hide the total cost. A repair postponed because it is annoying can become the reason a week collapses. Car costs leak in two directions. One direction is undercounting. You tell yourself the car is $500 a month because that is the payment, while the actual month needs gas, insurance, maintenance, and future repairs. The other direction is false economy. You skip a small maintenance item because money is tight, and later the car asks for a much louder bill. The practical move is an all-in car number, not a perfect prediction, a working number, payment, insurance, fuel, registration, regular maintenance, tires, parking or tolls, a small repair lane if the car is essential. If that number hurts, the map did its job. It showed the pressure before the car does. The viewer test is this. If you had to choose this car again today, using the all-in monthly number, not just the payment, would you make the same commitment? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The fifth leak is the cheap thing you keep replacing. This one feels responsible at first. You picked the lower price. You avoided the nicer version. You did not splurge. Then the charger dies. The shoes hurt. The pan warps. The storage container almost seals, so leftovers dry out. The cheap tool breaks halfway through the job. The bargain battery creates the same problem again. One replacement can be bad luck. 2 is information. 3 is a subscription with worse customer service. This does not mean buy premium everything. That is just another leak in nicer clothes. The expensive version of a low-use item can be wasteful. The branded version can be status, not durability. A beautiful organized system can be cluttered with better lighting. The test is frequency plus failure. Do you use it often? Does failure cost money, time, pain, food, work, or another trip? Has the cheap version already failed more than once? Would a better version actually last through your real use, not your fantasy use? If the answer is yes, paying more once may be cheaper than paying less repeatedly. The important word is may. Durability has to be proven by the category, not assumed from price. Some mid-range items are better than luxury items. Some cheap items are perfectly fine because the job is simple. Some repairs beat replacement. Some replacements beat repair because the old item has become a time leak. What you want to avoid is automatic reviewing. A replacement should trigger a question. Why did this fail? Wrong item, wrong use, bad storage, low quality, avoidable damage, or just normal wear. If the cause is low quality in a high-use category, buying the same cheap version again is not frugality. It is agreeing to meet the same problem later. This is especially visible with household basics. Shoes you stand in all day. A charger used for work. Containers that protect meals. Basic tools used often enough that failure interrupts life. These are not luxury categories, just because better versions cost more. The viewer test is this. If this item broke again next month, would you wish you had bought the stronger version today? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The sixth leak is exhaustion spending. This is where cheap advice usually becomes unbearable. It points at coffee, snacks, and takeout, as if the purchase itself is the whole story. But the real story is often energy. You did not buy the delivery bag because you forgot food exists. You bought it because dinner became a decision at the worst hour of the day. You did not buy the coffee because you are morally broken. You bought a pause, a ritual, a way to get through the next block of time. You did not add the snack because you carefully planned to waste money. You were hungry, tired, rushed, or done making decisions. That is why the phrase "stop buying coffee" is too small for the actual leak. Sometimes the leak is not coffee. It is the absence of a cheaper default for the moment when coffee becomes the easiest rescue. Exhaustion spending usually follows a pattern: same time, same place, same feeling, same purchase. The receipt looks like a choice, but the setup made it almost automatic. Late work turns into delivery. Skipped breakfast turns into gas station snacks. A bad commute turns into drive-through coffee. An empty fridge turns into another quick order. A stressful day turns into a cart built for relief, not need. The goal is not to remove every small pleasure. That would be miserable, and it would probably fail. The goal is to identify which purchases are enjoyment and which are rescue. Enjoyment spending can be chosen, budgeted, and remembered. Rescue spending repeats because the day keeps collapsing in the same place. So build a cheaper rescue before the tired moment arrives. A backup frozen meal. A lunch that requires no morning discipline. A coffee setup you actually like. Snacks in the car or desk if hunger is the trigger. A rule that delivery is fine on planned hard nights, but not the automatic answer to an empty fridge. The leak is not that you needed relief. The leak is paying the highest price for relief every time because there was no lower friction option ready. The viewer test is this: if you were rested, fed, and not rushed, would you still choose this purchase at this price? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. The seventh leak is the fee that punishes timing: late fee, overdraft fee, non-sufficient funds fee, minimum balance fee, returned payment fee, expedited payment fee, paper statement fee, out-of-network automated teller machine fee. The names differ, but the feeling is the same. Money leaves because the system was slightly off. This category hits hardest when the balance is already thin. A $30 fee to someone with plenty of cushion is annoying. A $30 fee to someone waiting for payday can change groceries, gas, and the next bill. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reported that bank overdraft and non-sufficient funds revenue was $5.83 billion in 2023. That was down 51% from 2019, but it was not gone. The same report noted that some banks still charged overdraft fees as high as $37. The point is not to make the video about banks. The point is to show the math of friction. A small timing miss can become a fixed penalty. This leak often hides because people treat it as an accident. One fee, one forgotten date, one minimum balance slip. But if it repeats, it is not just an accident. It is a system warning. Maybe payday and due dates are misaligned. Maybe autopay is pulling before money arrives. Maybe the account minimum is unrealistic for the way cash actually moves. Maybe a bill should be on a calendar instead of memory. Maybe the fee-free option is buried behind a different account type. Maybe the payment method adds a processing fee that could be avoided with a slower option. The practical move is to turn fees into clues. Every fee should answer 3 questions. What triggered it? What date did it happen? What would have prevented it without creating a bigger risk? Sometimes the answer is a due date change. Sometimes it is turning off autopay until there is cushion. Sometimes it is using autopay only for stable bills. Sometimes it is choosing alerts. Sometimes it is changing the account structure. Sometimes it is paying earlier, slower, or through a different channel. This is not glamorous, but it is powerful because fees are pure leakage. You do not get more food, more shelter, more joy, or more safety. You just lose money for being close to the edge. The viewer test is this: if this fee were presented as a monthly subscription, would you sign up for it? If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. Now put the 7 leaks on one table: subscription email, checkout through cart, car key, broken replacement, delivery bag, bank fee notice. Do not start with guilt. Start with renewal. For each one, ask whether the original reason is still alive. The subscription, does it still do a job? The convenience fee. Would the final total have earned the yes if you saw it first? The grocery extra, will it be eaten? Or is it optimism in a cart? The car cost. Would you choose the all-in monthly number again? The cheap replacement. Has the lower price become a repeat bill? The exhaustion purchase. Was it chosen pleasure or a rescue at the worst hour? The fee. Would you ever voluntarily subscribe to paying it again? That is the whole audit. Not a spreadsheet personality test. Not a moral inventory, a fresh yes test. This works because many leaks are old decisions. They are not active choices anymore. They are leftovers that learned how to bill. The moment you ask whether you would choose them again today, 3 categories separate themselves. First, real bills. Keep them without drama. If a subscription earns its place, if delivery saves a brutal night, if a car cost is necessary for work, call it chosen and stop wasting emotional energy pretending every dollar must defend itself forever. Second, leaks. Cancel, downgrade, compare, repair, plan, move the date, change the default, or create a cheaper rescue. Third, pressure signals. These are not solved by canceling an app. If the all-in car number is crushing the month, if fees keep happening because income and bill timing do not match, if groceries are hard because time and energy are gone, the audit should reveal the larger constraint. That is still useful. It tells you where the real problem lives. The repeated line is simple because the problem is repetitive. If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. Once you find a leak, do not treat every leak the same way. There are 4 responses. A ROM it resize it, reveal it, redesign it. A ROM is for the cleanest leaks. The unused subscription, the repeated fee with an obvious fix, the cart add-on that never gets used. Cancel it, stop it, or make it harder to repeat. Grade S is for things that still have value but no longer deserve the current price. Downgrade the plan. Pick pickup instead of delivery. Use delivery on planned hard nights instead of as the default. Buy a smaller grocery quantity. Keep the service, but change the tier. Reveal is for costs that are not wrong, just hidden. The car all-in number. The final checkout total. The real grocery waste. The annual subscription divided by 12. The payment plus the insurance plus the maintenance. Put the true cost where your brain sees it before the decision. Redesign is for leaks caused by tired systems. If exhaustion spending repeats every Wednesday, the answer may be a Wednesday backup meal. If late fees repeat before payday, the answer may be a due date request or a calendar alert. If cheap replacements repeat, the answer may be one better object in a high-use category, not another bargain. The mistake is using remove for everything. That is how people turn financial relief into deprivation. They cancel things that were genuinely useful, keep paying fees that had a mechanical fix, and then wonder why the month still feels bad. A good leak response matches the cause. Old yes, remove. Too much version, resize. High true cost, reveal. Bad default, redesign. That is practical because it does not require you to become a different person. It changes the object, the date, the cart, the email, the route, or the trigger. And it keeps the viewer test intact. If you would choose it again today, make it honest and keep it. If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. Go back to the table from the opening, receipts, phone bill, cart, car key, delivery bag, subscription email, bank fee noticed. None of those objects is automatically bad. That is the point. A receipt can be a chosen purchase. A phone bill can be necessary. A card can feed the weak. A car key can represent work, family, and independence. A delivery bag can be relief in a hard moment. A subscription email can be worth the renewal. A bank notice can be a warning that helps you fix the timing before the next fee. The problem is not spending. The problem is spending that keeps moving after attention has left. Small money leaks are quiet because they rarely look ridiculous alone. $7 here, $12 there. A fee that feels too small to contest. A cart extra that seemed harmless. A delivery total accepted after the day was already over. A replacement bought because the cheap one broke again. But quiet does not mean harmless. Quiet just means the month has to reveal the total later. So the rule is not never buy small things. The rule is do not let old decisions keep voting forever. Give recurring charges a fresh yes. Give convenience the final total test. Give groceries the eaten food test. Give the car its all-in number. Give cheap replacements a failure count. Give exhaustion spending a cheaper rescue. Give fees a trigger note and a prevention step. No shame ceremony. No coffee cliche. No pretending a subscription audit fixes rent, medical bills, childcare, or low income. Just a cleaner line between money you still choose and money that is leaving by default. That line is where the months starts to make more sense. If you would not choose it again today, it is probably a leak. And once you can see the leak, you can stop treating the whole paycheck like a mystery.